Now that we've made the screen, we've duplicated another screen, and now we have 3 screens that we can use to practice creating interactivity in another application. But the goal here is to make screens that are good looking and then bring them into another application to create the interactivity. So if we were designing for a corporate presentation, for example, we'd be able to design screens here in Photoshop, bring them over into PowerPoint, which is part of what we're going to do. That's something that's very common. But most people will use the PowerPoint tools and the screens won't look good. So we're going to make our own screens here. Next thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to create graphics that are going to go back and forth between these screens. So to do that, we're going to jump out into Illustrator. You can see that we've recreated another artboard. We've got an artboard for the fox and an artboard for the buffalo. And now we're going to use these graphics again to create graphics to move back and forth between the various screens. And by using this technique, we can just emulate it and do that over and over and over again to to allow the graphics to be consistent. So we're going to go into Illustrator, and I'm just going to create a new document. It's just going to be, I'm just going to use a print document letter, just a simple Illustrator document, because I'm going to bring it into the other application anyway. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to place, and I'm going to go to my graphics that I had created. So let's go to the buffalo, and we'll place the buffalo. And I'm just going to click once. I just want it to come in at regular size. And then I'm going to do File, Place. And now I'm going to find the image of the fox. And I'm going to place that. Click once. And now I've got these 2 raster images in a vector environment. I'm going to convert them so that they become graphics that we can place in and act as buttons. So we'll work with the buffalo first. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Window, and we're going to go to Image Trace. And what this is going to do is it's going to bring up the Image Trace window. This Image Trace window gives us a bunch of options to trace this image into a vector image. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave this on black and white right now. We can play with these thresholds, but we'll leave them. I'm just going to hit preview, and let's see what we get. So that would be a black and white graphic, and we'd be able to use this now as a button. If we wanted something maybe a little bit more dynamic, we can go here and change it to color, and then choose a different option. So for example, 3 colors. And you'll see that we get a little richer graphic here. So let's go with the 3 color design, and let's now do this to our fox, and we're going to go to 3 colors. And now you see the different graphics that we'll get. So what we want to do here is we want to be able to cut this out and have a circle. So the first thing we need to do is we can select this graphic, and up at the top we're going to have some attributes for the tracing. If you don't have that, you want to make sure that you're using Workspace for tracing, and that will give you that. And now that I click on the buffalo, I'm just going to hit expand. And when I do that, I now have a vector graphic. And I could go through and start clicking things and start deleting them, but that would take a little bit of time. We're going to take a little easier route. going to do the same thing now to the fox image. I'm going to expand it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over and I'm going to take an ellipse. I'm going to double click on the page so that I get a little dialog box so that I know that the value, 200 is fine. I'm going to click OK, and now it's going to make an ellipse. I'm going to take that ellipse and I'm going to lay it right over the portion that I want to circle out here. So I do that, and now I'm going to be able to just select everything, and I'm going to be using the pathfinders. So I'm going to go to Window, Pathfinder, and when I do that, I'm going to get the pathfinders. And what these do is they allow you to manipulate the vectors and cut them out, combine them. We're going to actually use the crop. So when we do this, it's going to crop away what we had, and now we have this little graphic. So I'm going to again click on here. I'm going to double click OK, because I want to make sure the circles are exactly the same for both graphics. I'm going to kind of lay this over here. And now when I select everything, Pathfinder, crop, and you'll notice that I cut the edge off there. So I'm going to make sure that I undo it. I move this over so it's not hitting the edge. Now I'll select, and now I'll crop. And we can add type over this if we want. We can do it in Photoshop or in Illustrator. Just going to leave it the way it is. So what we're going to do now is very easy. I can just grab this and I can copy it. I'm going to go back into Photoshop. I'm going to go onto the artboard that I want to place it on, and I'm going to go to Edit, Paste. And when I do this, Photoshop is going to ask me how I want to paste this. I want to paste it as a smart object. I click OK. And when it's a smart object, I can now scale it and manipulate it, and it will keep its sharp form. So I can lay this down here. I can scale this up if I wanted to, or down, simply by grabbing the handle. Or if I want to keep it the way it is at 200, that's fine. I can put it here to have a linear progression, so back and forth to each screen. Or I can put a series of these here, smaller, to show a bunch of different icons. So for now, let's just put it right here. And we're going to just hit Enter. And now we have our graphic there. We'll go back into Illustrator. We'll grab the fox, edit, copy, back into Photoshop, and now we're going to go to Edit, Paste. Now we can do a paste in place. Let's see what we get. Smart object, and it's going to paste it on here. We're going to drag it over here, and now we can get it right to where it was just by manipulating it here in Photoshop. So now we've got it lined up perfectly to the edge. We let go. We can't see it because it's behind the graphic. So we're going to bring it up. And there it is. And now if we zoom out, we've got the little graphics that now can go back and forth to the different windows, the different screens as we continue. The next step is going to be for us to export these screens out. So to do that, we're simply going to close up our artboards, and we're going to then take each artboard and we can right click and we can duplicate artboard. And when we do that, we can duplicate this as a new document. We can rename it Call it main page or main screen. Click OK. And now the screen's all by itself. Everything's intact. But when we worked on our interface sample, we were able to see everything in order, which is a good way to design. So we're going to export all of these out, and then eventually we should have 3 PSDs, which then we can save out as another file. So we'll go File, Save As, and we can go down. We can save this as a JPEG, or we can do it as a PNG. And now we go PNG, main screen. We'll make a new folder. And we want to put all these screens in their own folder together so that we have them when we bring them into another application. So we're going to just create a new folder. And we're going to call this Animal Presentation Screens. And now I'm going to save out the main screen. We can leave it here. We can do it at medium, either one. It's a large file, so you can leave it on large. Click OK. And now we can do the same thing for our Fox. Right click, duplicate artboard. We want to do this as a new document, and we can name it right here. Story Fox. Click OK. And now File, Save As. And we're going to save this right out as a PNG. And there's our main screen. We've got our Story Fox screen. And now we hit Save. We'll do that one more time for the Buffalo screen. Right click. And we're going to duplicate artboard. And the reason we're doing this, we want the individual PSD. We can do a quick export to PNG, but we want to have this extra document just in case we want to go back in, or if we lose this fully composited one. So now we're going to go Story, Buffalo. Screen. I'm going to click OK. And now we're going to have our own screen right here. And now we've got all 3 of these by themselves. And File, Save As, PNG. And you can see we have our other screens. Everything's named neatly. And we click Save. And now those files are ready to be brought in to another application.